The perfect weapon wakes the wind howled across the dusty surface of planet R9. It was a cold, dead world, filled with nothing but rocks and forgotten machines buried under years of ash and silence. For centuries, no one had lived here until the mining team arrived. 3 workers stood near a deep crevice, watching their scanners blink. Something unusual had been detected underground, old tech, maybe a hidden vault. Curiosity turned to excitement. Ancient Union tech always brought good rewards. I think it's a sealed facility, said one of them, a young miner named Tom. He tapped the console. Signals still active. It's not dead. The others looked worried. Active tech on. A dead world meant danger. But Prophet spoke louder. They drilled into the surface. The rock cracked open with a loud hiss, and a strange door appeared beneath the dust. Symbols covered it, old and half-worn, but one thing was clear: it was not built by the current Galactic Union. It was older, much older. Tom placed his hand on the control panel. The vault hissed and groaned, then slowly opened. A thick mist poured out, and then a figure stepped through the fog. He was tall, muscular, and barely clothed. His skin was pale from years of cryosleep. His eyes were sharp, scanning the room like a weapon searching for targets. A small mark glowed on his shoulder, an old code from a forgotten time. The man looked at the miners. Where am I? The miners stepped back. Tom swallowed hard. You're on planet R9. We found you. What's your name? The man blinked. I don't remember. Only pieces. Battlefields. Orders. Pain. One of the miners whispered, he's one of them. A gen human. Tom's eyes widened. The legends were true. Long ago, the Union had built humans to fight wars across the stars, stronger, faster, smarter. But when the wars ended, the Union feared what they had made. These battle humans didn't just follow orders, they began to question. To think. To lead. So they were locked away. All of them. Sealed in vaults and left to die quietly, until now. The man, who didn't know his name, stood tall. Who is in charge of this world? No one, Tom said. This is just a mining site. Is the Union still alive? Yes, Tom said quietly. They control most of the galaxy. The man looked into the distance. His breathing was calm, but his mind was racing. He remembered now the voice of a commander shouting at him to kneel. He remembered being locked inside the vault. He had asked why. They gave no answer. Just silence and cold. I need information, he said. Tom hesitated, but handed over a scanner. This has some records. Maybe it will help. The man took it, and his eyes lit up. He linked the device to the neural node still implanted in his skull. Streams of data poured into his mind: maps, dates, names. The Union had thrived. Wars had ended. But they had also lied. They had erased the humans they built. Pretended they never existed, but the vaults still remained. Hundreds of them. The man's fingers shook slightly as he tapped into an old network, a hidden line used only by his kind. It was weak, but still there. He sent a single word: awaken. Back in orbit, the mining ship picked up a signal. A distress ping. No, it was something else. A coded message, unknown to any standard system. The captain sent a report to the Union. Within minutes, alarms sounded in the Union's command center. A face appeared on the screen, an old photo from a long-forgotten project. Subject 47 has awakened. The council members went pale. Where? R9. The officer said. He's active and broadcasting. One of the council leaders slammed his fist on the table. Shut him down. Now. Before the others hear it. Too late. Far across the galaxy, on dead moons and lost stations, lights flickered on. Cryopods began to hum. And inside them, more humans stirred. Their eyes opened, their memories burning with betrayal. The weapon they had created was waking up. Recovery or containment. The Union wasted no time. The moment they confirmed the awakening of Subject 47 on planet R9, they launched a team. It wasn't a rescue team. It was containment. A sleek black ship cut through space like a blade. On board were elite Union agents trained for one thing: erasing mistakes. They wore cold armor and carried weapons designed specifically for one target: humans from Project Vanguard, also known as Gen Humans. On R9, the man who called himself Nothing Yet stood on a cliff watching the distant stars. In his mind, data flowed like rivers. Coordinates of old vaults. Names of past allies. He didn't remember everything, but enough had returned to paint a dark truth. They created him, they used him, and then they threw him away. His fingers tapped rapidly across the scanner device he had taken from the miner, customizing it, upgrading. It wasn't just a scanner now. It was a beacon, calling to any other Gen humans still listening. And someone was. He felt it, a soft ping. A response from a vault on a gas moon. Another one from a shattered station orbiting a red dwarf. The others were waking. He turned when Tom ran up the hill, panting. You need to hide. A ship's coming. Military. Not ours. How long? 20 minutes, maybe less. The man nodded. Then I have time. Tom looked nervous. You're not going to run? No, he said. If I run now, they'll think I'm afraid. I want them to see what they left behind. Back in orbit, the Black Union ship entered the atmosphere. Inside, the team leader, a tall, silver-eyed commander named Rel, loaded his weapon. Non-lethal if possible. But if he resists, we end him. They landed with precision. The squad moved like one machine. 10 soldiers, each one silent, ready to carry out their orders without question. The man watched them come through the ash and fog. His stance was relaxed, but every muscle was coiled like a spring. One soldier stepped forward, weapon aimed but not fired. Subject 47. You are to surrender immediately. He didn't answer. You are considered unstable and dangerous. The soldier continued. Do not resist. The man smiled faintly. You're not here to help me. You're here to put me back to sleep. Or bury me. You're a weapon, Rel said, stepping forward. Not a citizen. Not a being. You were made for war. The war is over. You're obsolete. No, the man said calmly. You made us think the war was over. But it never ended. You just stopped using us. He reached behind his back, not for a weapon, but for a memory drive he had built. With one motion, he activated a holo display in front of them. It showed what the Union had done: secret files of experiments, orders for disposal, vault logs of containment failures. Evidence that the Union never planned to wake any of the Gen humans again. Rel's eyes narrowed. You hacked restricted data. The man tilted his head. You locked me in a vault and called it mercy. The Union team raised their weapons. Tom gasped behind a rock. This was about to become a war zone. Before the agents could fire, the man moved. He was faster than any of them. In the time it took to blink, he crossed the gap and disarmed the nearest soldier with a single twist of the wrist. The rest opened fire, but he was already behind them, using their own formation against them. He didn't kill them. He didn't need to. Within 30 seconds, the Union squad was on the ground, groaning, their weapons scattered. Only Commander Rel stood, his face pale. What are you? The man stepped closer. You made me. Then tried to forget me. Now you remember. You can't win, Rel hissed. Even if you survive, more will come. I'm not alone anymore, he said. A signal pulsed from the device on his wrist. Dozens of coordinates blinked across the map. Vaults opening. Beacons lighting up. More like him, rising. Rel's voice cracked. What are you going to do? Something you never taught us, the man said. Think. Build. Lead. He turned and walked away, leaving the defeated squad behind. As the black ship limped into orbit to report the failure, the Union Council received the message they feared most: subjects across 5 sectors have awakened. We've lost control. The galaxy had shifted, and the perfect weapons they built were no longer listening. The first uprising. The signal spread faster than light. Every old vault, every buried chamber and frozen war pod left behind heard it. One by one, the humans inside began to wake. They coughed as they stepped into light for the first time in centuries. Muscles stiff, eyes sharp, minds filled with old memories and new questions, they were not alone anymore. In Sector 14, near a blackened moon, a research facility trembled as 5 Gen humans broke through the cryopod chamber doors. The guards fired stun rounds, but it was useless. These weren't normal soldiers. They had been made for war. And now, they remembered why. One of them, a woman with a scar over her right eye, picked up a fallen guard's comlink. Her voice was calm but fierce. To any who can hear, this is not your war anymore. We are awake. The Union Command Center received dozens of similar messages. Panic spread. Meetings turned into shouting matches. The officials tried to contain the news, but the Galactic network was already buzzing. Stories popped up on civilian channels. Old soldiers from Project Vanguard awake after 300 years. Union cover-up exposed. Are Gen humans our saviors? Or our doom? In quiet corners of the galaxy, people began to wonder. If the Union had hidden this, what else were they hiding? On the desert world of valleys, 2 Gen humans, newly awakened, were attacked by a small Union strike team. The humans were weaponless, tired from cryosleep, and outnumbered, but they still won, not because of raw strength, but strategy. They used shadows, terrain, and misdirection. In less than 10 minutes, the Union team was defeated. Not killed, just disarmed. The surviving Union officer was brought to his knees. One of the humans, a man named Cole, leaned in and said softly, "You trained us too well." The story reached Dane through one of the relays. He watched the recording in silence. He had no memory of Cole, but he felt pride. They weren't just surviving, they were resisting, but it wasn't enough. The Union had full fleets, heavy warships, and planets under their grip. The humans had only scattered fighters, damaged mines, and old tech. They needed help. In the Outer Rim, a ship approached Dane's small vessel. It wasn't Union. It flew no flag. Inside were 3 aliens, tall, lean, and cautious. They requested to speak. The leader stepped forward and bowed slightly. "We are not your enemy. My name is Vec. My people once fought beside you during the 7-sector war. We remember the truth." Dane studied the alien closely. "Then why come now?" "Because we also remember the Union's betrayal. You weren't the only ones thrown away." Dane raised an eyebrow. "You want to join us?" Vec nodded. "We want to survive. And we believe you are the only ones who can stand against them." It was the first alliance. More followed, small groups. Smugglers. Scientists. Even ex-Union soldiers tired of the lies. They offered parts, weapons, ships, and skills. In return, they asked for one thing, freedom. Dane accepted, but warned them all, this won't be easy. The Union will not go quietly. They began building. A fleet of old wrecks turned into mobile bases. Broken droids reprogrammed into scouts. A tiny command center built inside a hollowed asteroid. They had no homeworld. No supply lines. No full armies, but they had will, and they had memory. In one bold mission, Dane's team intercepted a Union communications relay. They broadcast a message across every major channel in the galaxy. Dane appeared on screen. He stood in front of a damaged warship with burn marks still glowing behind him. His face was tired, but his voice was steady. "We were created for war, and you left us to rot. You called us unstable, dangerous, broken. But it was never about safety. It was about fear, fear of what you made, and what we might become. We don't want to rule. We don't want revenge. We want the truth. We want freedom. If you try to bury us again, know this, we are awake now. And we are not alone." The Union scrambled to jam the signal, but it was too late. The whole galaxy had seen it, and across hundreds of systems, in shadows and silence, others began to whisper, "The humans are rising." Asterisk fear spreads through the stars. The Union's fear grew faster than any uprising. Dane's broadcast had reached more than just rebels. It had entered the homes of senators, officers, governors, and civilians across every sector. His words echoed in their ears, "We want the truth. We want freedom." Union leaders tried to control the message. They called Dane a terrorist, a rogue weapon gone wrong. But it didn't matter. The people didn't trust them anymore. Too many lies. Too many secrets. Now, the galaxy was asking hard questions. Who else had they locked away? What else had they built and abandoned? In Sector 3, an entire Union outpost went dark. When scouts arrived, they found it empty. No blood, no bodies, no signs of war. Just a single message left on a wall: we are not your weapons. Behind closed doors, the Union Council was in chaos. Their commanders argued about the next move. Some wanted to bomb every vault before more humans woke up. Others warned that would only prove Dane's words were true. Panic is spreading. One admiral said, "Even our own fleets are hesitating to fire." A senator leaned forward, eyes filled with dread. "You don't understand. This isn't just an uprising. This is fear. The kind that breaks empires." Meanwhile, Dane's forces were growing. They had no name, no flag. But they moved like shadows through the stars, gathering lost gen humans, building small outposts, and freeing enslaved species the Union thought were forgotten. Each time a new vault opened, more humans joined the cause. Some were rough, damaged by centuries of sleep and isolation. Others were calm and sharp, ready to lead and teach. Dane made a rule: no forced loyalty. No one would ever be controlled again. Every fighter chose to stand beside him. In a hidden belt of asteroids, the humans set up their first shipyard. It was crude but effective. Old wrecks were melted down and reforged. New fighters rolled out, fast and deadly. They had no shiny colors or fancy tech, just power and purpose. On the front lines, something changed. A Union dreadnought entered a mining system to shut down a suspected rebel camp. But instead of a camp, they found 3 human warships waiting. The battle lasted just 5 minutes. The Union ship's shields were bypassed by precision strikes. Their weapons jammed. Their command crew was knocked unconscious by a shock pulse, but the humans didn't destroy the ship. They boarded it. Inside, they helped the injured Union crew and sent them back home with a message: we are not monsters, but we will not be hunted. That act of mercy stunned the galaxy. News spread fast. The humans didn't kill. They didn't burn cities. They only fought when attacked, and they fought better than anyone. Civilians began protesting Union command stations. Soldiers started defecting in small groups. Smugglers carried supplies to hidden human bases. In the shadows of a crumbling system, Dane stood on the bridge of a salvaged cruiser. His new allies, human and alien, watched the map. Dots lit up: rebel movements, vault awakenings, new friends. "Sir," one of the younger humans said, "we just got word from the Outer Rim. A Union base surrendered without a shot fired. They are asking for protection." Dane stared at the glowing stars. "Protection," he repeated. "They are finally seeing the truth." But not everyone welcomed the change. In the dark space beyond the known rim, a secret Union faction gathered. These were the old minds, the ones who built Project Vanguard. They didn't care about politics. Only control. A cold voice echoed in the meeting chamber. "We made them. And we will unmake them." The faction activated an ancient program, Project Silence, a kill switch hidden deep inside Gen human code, but they had a problem. Dane had already erased his, and he was helping the others do the same. Back in orbit around valleys, another rebel camp reported a major win. A full Union cruiser had joined them. Its captain, an old war veteran, had served during the Gen human campaigns. "I fought beside your kind once," he said. "You were heroes. They lied to us." Dane extended his hand. "We don't want revenge. Just a chance to fix what they broke." That night, more stars joined their side, and far across the galaxy, one truth became impossible to ignore: the humans were not falling apart, they were rising. Alliances shift. The balance of power was cracking. Every week, more species turned away from the Union. Some out of fear, some out of guilt, but many out of hope. Hope that maybe the humans, once called monsters, could bring something the galaxy had forgotten. On the rocky plains of Volta 3, a group of diplomats waited nervously. They were from the Jarnock, a peaceful, insect-like species long bullied by the Union. Their cities had been taxed, their young taken for training, and their voices ignored for centuries. Now, the Jarnock stood before a simple human transport ship. No banners. No armed guards. Just a man named Dane and 3 others by his side. "You came," the lead Jarnock elder said. "No conditions. No threats." "We don't need to threaten you," Dane replied. We just want peace. The Elder's wings buzzed softly. We were told you were dangerous. I am, Dane said simply. But not to you. The meeting ended with a silent agreement. The Jarnock would support Dane's cause. In return, they'd receive protection and a seat in the new council. The humans were building not a human council. A united 1.1 that listened across the galaxy. Similar meetings were taking place. Small species with no voice before were now being heard. Some gave resources. Some gave intelligence. Some gave fighters. A movement was growing, and not just of humans, but while the outer systems changed, the Union core grew desperate inside. A floating black tower above Union Prime, a secret order gathered. These were the architects of Project Vanguard. Old scientists, politicians, and shadow leaders. We cannot stop them by force, one said. Their numbers grow daily. Their allies multiply. Another, a thin woman with eyes like glass, whispered. Then we break them from within. She revealed a name, Vault Omega. It was the last known site containing 10,000 gen humans in deep cryosleep, undisturbed, untouched for centuries. If we destroy it before they awaken, we cripple their numbers. The others agreed, but there was a leak. One of the Union's own sent the data to Dane. Hours later, in a hidden command ship orbiting a shattered moon, Dane stared at the coordinates on the screen. His team surrounded him, quiet, focused. 10,000 still asleep? Asked Myra, a former medic and awakened gen human. That's a full army. Yes, Dane said. And the Union knows where they are. We have to move now, said Bren, a sharp-eyed tactician. Dane nodded. Prepare the fleet. We don't need to win the battle. We just need to reach the vault before they destroy it. The journey was fast and dangerous. The Union knew they were coming. When Dane's fleet dropped out of warp near Vault Omega, the stars were already on fire. 3 full Union cruisers blocked their path. Dane didn't hesitate, deployed distraction ships. Hit from 3 angles. Our goal is the vault. Fighters swarmed through space. Missiles danced in the dark. Explosions lit up the void. Dane led the strike team himself, boarding the surface platform above the cryo chambers. The Union had already set charges, but the humans were faster. Bren disarmed the explosives while Myra hacked the vault controls. One by one, the cryopods hissed and opened. Men and women stepped out, confused, weak, but alive. Dane stood at the front, raising his voice. You were built for war. But today, we fight for life. If you stand with us, we stand with you. One by one, they nodded. Some wept. Some clenched fists. All remembered the pain of being left behind. Above, the battle shifted. With the reinforcements from the vault, Dane's ships overwhelmed the last Union cruiser. The enemy fled, and the vault was saved. That night, a message was sent to the galaxy. We have awakened Vault Omega. 10,000 more now walk with us, not as weapons, but as warriors of choice. We offer protection, not conquest. But we will not be silenced. In Union space, the news hit hard. Worlds stopped sending supplies. Governors began resigning. Soldiers refused orders. The Union was cracking, and the humans hadn't taken over. With force, they had earned loyalty with respect. 1 system at a time. The fall of the Union. The Union had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. Its fleets patrolled every corner. Its laws controlled millions of systems. Its voice was law. Now, its voice was breaking. Dane's message had spread to every system. The once feared gen humans were no longer seen as weapons, but as protectors. Vault after vault had been awakened, and now, entire worlds were choosing to follow Dane's banner, even if it wasn't made of cloth. It was made of trust. The Union Council met in silence. Fewer leaders remained. Some had vanished. Some had fled. And some had joined Dane. One bitter admiral stood. We end this now. We still have the power. One final blow and they'll break. And the target, someone asked. The admiral smiled coldly. Earth. The word fell like ice. Earth, the birthplace of the gen humans. A world the Union had ignored for centuries. No major fleet had visited it in years. It was thought to be simple, quiet, forgotten, but it was not weak. As the Union fleet gathered, over 200 ships strong, it moved toward Earth with one goal: erase it from history. If the humans saw their home burn, perhaps they would kneel. They didn't know what waited. Back in orbit near the peaceful moon of Faris, Dane stood aboard the cruiser Sol's Reach, watching the final reports. Union ships were on the move. Earth was the target. Bren looked pale. We can't reach them in time. Myra shook her head. Earth doesn't even have an army. Just a watch station and science satellites. Dane's eyes stayed on the screen. No, he said. They have more. He turned to the comms officer. Open a direct line. To Earth Defense Command. The officer hesitated. Sir, they haven't responded to outside calls in years. Try. Anyway, Dane ordered. A pause. A flicker of static, then a voice came through. Calm. Deep. Earth's Defense Director. We know. We are ready. Dane blinked. You knew they'd come. We didn't sleep, Dane. While the Union turned away, Earth watched. We've been building not armies, but something better. And now we'll show them. The line cut. Dane stared at the others. Prep the fleet. We follow at full speed. Earth will not stand alone. Above Earth's orbit, the stars darkened as the Union fleet approached. Hundreds of warships formed into attack formation. They broadcast a single message: surrender. The Gen-human leader. Or Earth will burn. But no reply came. Instead, strange signals jammed their comms. Invisible satellites lit up across the system. And then, Earth's moon moved, and not just moved. It split. Massive panels unfolded from its surface, revealing hidden platforms, cannons, and railguns the size of city blocks. The entire moon had been turned into a defense weapon. The Union froze, then Earth responded. This is Earth Command. You had centuries to make peace. You chose silence. Now you'll hear our voice. From the dark side of the planet, Earth's fleet rose. It wasn't big, but it was strong. 12 warships, sleek and silent, armed with weapons designed not for war, but for ending it fast. The battle began. Earth's weapons cut through Union shields like paper. Plasma rounds shattered cruisers in one shot. Tracking beams locked onto engines, not crews, disabling ships without killing everyone. Still, the Union fought hard. Numbers were on their side. Then Sol's Reach jumped in. Dane's fleet poured into orbit, catching the Union from behind. A perfect pincer. Dane gave one order: save Earth. Spare those who surrender. And this with honor. In just 1 hour, the Union fleet was gone, some destroyed, most surrendered, and for the first time in 1,000 years, Earth stood as more than a quiet planet. It stood as a force. After the battle, the galaxy watched in silence. Would Dane claim the Union's throne? Would the Gen-humans take over? No. Dane returned to the stars, not as a king, but as a leader with limits. He called for a meeting. Every species. Every world. Every voice. He didn't want control. He wanted peace, and peace didn't come from weapons. It came from choice. Asterisk. What comes after the war had ended, the Union, the great power that once ruled the stars, was gone. Some of its leaders vanished. Others were arrested and stood trial. The rest surrendered and offered to rebuild what they had helped break, but no flag flew over the galaxy now. Instead, ships from many species gathered in neutral space. Not to fight. Not to threaten. But to talk. A new council was forming, not a union of control, but an alliance of choice. Each voice equal. Each world respected. At the center of it all was Dane. He stood on the bridge of the Sol's Reach, orbiting a green-blue planet once forgotten. Earth. His home. A world that raised warriors not for conquest, but for survival. Dane didn't sit on a throne. He didn't wear medals or give speeches to crowds. He simply met with leaders, listened to voices, and made sure the future was not built on fear. One evening, Myra joined him at the ship's window. You know, she said, they'd follow you anywhere. I don't want them to, Dane replied. She smiled. That's exactly why they would. The new council took shape slowly. The Jarnock sent engineers, the Volari sent healers, even former Union systems, once enemies, sent diplomats, and the Gen-humans. They didn't demand power. They offered strength where needed, helping build cities, defend colonies, and protect the weak. They were no longer weapons, they were guardians. But even peace has its shadows. Months after the war, a deep signal was picked up, an old data stream from a sector once marked uninhabitable. Dane's team investigated. What they found changed everything. In the remains of a lost Union lab, buried under black rock, they discovered records older than Project Vanguard files, marked with red warnings. Subject class, pre-gen, origin unknown. Containment failed. The file spoke of an early version of the human experiments, not soldiers, but thinkers. Humans who could not only fight, but reshape technology just by understanding it. Once, the Union feared not for their strength, but for their ideas. They were never released, never found, until now. In a sealed chamber, Dane and his team found Stacy's pods. But they weren't human. Not fully. Inside the largest pod lay a girl, small, still, her skin marked with lines of glowing light. She opened her eyes and smiled. Back aboard Sol's Reach, the crew stood around the pod, unsure what to say. Myra broke the silence. Is she one of us? Dane stared into the girl's eyes. No, he said quietly. She's something more. A week later, a meeting was held in secret. Dane spoke only to the most trusted council members. We've found proof that the Union's crimes go deeper than we thought. There were projects even they tried to bury. This child, she's not just gen human. She may be the first attempt at something else. The others leaned in. Is she dangerous? One asked. Dane shook his head. Not yet. But if she chooses to be, no one could stop her. That night, Dane sat with the girl. She looked at the stars through the window. They made me to think, she said softly. To learn fast. Too fast. They feared you, Dane replied. She nodded. Because I asked why. He smiled sadly. So did we. The girl looked at him. Are you my enemy? No, Dane said. I'm your second chance. Months passed. The galaxy didn't heal in a day. But for the first time in centuries, systems spoke instead of firing. Peace grew not from fear, but understanding. Dane became a symbol. Not a ruler. Not a god. Just a man who was made for war and chose something else. And across the stars, people remembered one truth: they engineered humans for battle. But it was their heart, not their fists, that changed the galaxy forever.